What's up, boys? Filthy Casual here. I am here to talk about more NBA stuff because I'm in the mood to talk about NBA stuff, and that's what I'm going to do. So I am talking about conference finals odds from NBA, but I'm also going to talk about a couple of trade stuff because a couple of things have happened. Number one, Russell Westbrook opt into his player option because nobody's given that man $47 million again. It's not happening. Like, I would say sucks to suck, but the man's making $47 million this year, so it really doesn't suck to be him. Beyond that, John Wall agreed to a buyout. I don't believe the full details of that have been made available just yet, but he said he's going to sign with the Clippers. Is this going to be a really big thing where it's like, whoa, they got John Wall? Or is it going to be like a Blake Griffin and the Nets kind of thing where it's like, whoa, they got Blake Griffin, and then, he plays good, but like not great for like a season, and then completely bottoms out at the end? Uh, Equally likely, I would say. I think John Wall still has something left in the tank, and I think the Clippers will be scary next year. But it's who knows. But this goes into the odds to win the Western Conference, so we're gonna start there. Um, so as you can see, the Golden State Warriors are plus 250. No surprises there. I think as long as they keep everybody on the roster, they're probably the favorites to maybe not win the finals, but to make it back to the finals. The Suns were the main competition last year, and they kind of they don't seem like they're going to be the same team next year. DeAndre Ayton might not be there. Chris Paul, what version of Chris Paul are you getting in the playoffs? Like, you don't really know these things. So, makes sense. Clippers, obviously. John Wall, just talked about it. Kawhi and PG back together, healthy. It's going to be, they've got Luke Kennard, they've got Zubats, they've got a great team there. And I think the Clippers, I would not be surprised if they made it to the conference finals again, which would be awesome for Clippers fans. I think the main thing, and I'm kind of surprised at the way this is laid out because I'm going to skip ahead and go talk about the Nuggets because I think the Nuggets are probably the next team to look out for. I don't think the Suns are going to be as good as they were last year. I don't know, not to say that the Mavericks won't be better, but I think the Nuggets with the addition of Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., I think they're probably a better team than Luka and the Mavs just because they kind of play in similar ways, but Jokic is going to be a mismatch nightmare. And I just think that in general, that center position for the Mavericks has been a weak spot of theirs. And Jokic, and this is, of course, all depending on seeding, but if the two teams were to play each other, I would be rooting for the Mavericks, but I'd probably believe that the Nuggets would win. And I'd be rooting for the Mavericks because I love Luca. I got a that I should probably be wearing. Um, Okay, let's talk about the Suns. Talk about the Suns. I don't really know. Well, let's not. I don't really know if DeAndre Ayton is going to be back. I don't think he'll be back, and I don't think even if he does come back, the team will be good. And it's not that they aren't capable of it. I just think that to come back from that Game 7 loss and to be better would take a lot of self-sacrificing and motivation and buy-in that I don't think that the organization or the coach has Monty Williams with DeAndre Ayton and the team anymore. I think that was one of the most soul-crushing losses I've ever seen in my life. So I don't think they're going to be good. The Mavericks, it's more so about their offseason. Can they add a piece? Can they be better? It's kind of hard to say right now. I'm looking at what they have, maybe with Tim Hardaway Jr. coming back, they're a little bit more consistent. And instead of, playing, I don't know, who would they play? Who would they not be playing? I don't know. Their rotation would be slightly shorter, and maybe they're better if they don't make any trades. But I don't see this team doing better than the conference finals. If that, I think they're a second rounder, unless they, Luca does Luca things, which oh, bro, watch out. But if Luca comes in on his shit this year, like, yo, who knows? I'm not betting against them. Grizzlies is probably the sleeper team, just because they were the second best team record wise in the league last year, and they ended up losing to the Warriors. I think another year of development on some basic stuff from John Morant, and I don't just mean like basic stuff like, outside shooting. I mean like his passing, his decision making, stuff like that. I think another year of development from him, another year of development from Desmond Bain. Jaren Jackson Jr. might not be fouling as much. That team's scary, and they play against the Warriors well. They are probably the one team that I would say, if the Warriors are playing them, I have no, like, bro, I ain't got no clue, because for whatever reason, whenever Ja and the Grizzlies play the Warriors, they all show out. Like they always show out. It's just the way they play. Yo, that's I love that crap. Um, Outside that, I added the Lakers and the Pelicans in the screenshot just because one, Russell Westbrook opted into his player option, and I think this is a pipe dream. I think the Lakers will make the playoffs. I think with Anthony Davis being healthier and Russell Westbrook maybe getting some more time with this team, they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're a round one out, and I think LeBron is is gone after that. Um, if he still wants to play, he might want to retire. I mean, I know he wants to play with his kid, so he might not retire, but LeBron's going to be 40, man. 40, 40. That's wild. So I don't really the Lakers are the one team on this list other than the Suns that I like fully do not believe are going to be good next year. Like, they'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to be good. The Pelicans are like, this is like the value bet right now. Like, if Zion comes in and is on his crap, and you've got Zion, CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram, and who am I missing? Zion, CJ, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, who cares? Just that four, man. Like, I'm like tripping forgetting somebody's name, but give me like Tuesday. I'll figure this out. Uh, it doesn't matter. Um, they're gonna be awesome, and they're gonna be fun. And I love the Pelicans. I loved watching the Pelicans when Zion was playing, and I didn't really tune in a ton last year until CJ and Jonas Valanciunas joined them. Um, but like, yo, those guys are gonna be great. Looking forward to watching Pelicans games again. Also in the Eastern Conference. So this, I think, is a much more closed conference, just because I think in the West, I think the Clippers have a shot at beating the Warriors. I think the Nuggets have a shot at beating the Warriors. I think the Grizzlies have a shot at beating the Warriors. I don't think I believe the Pelicans can hold up defensively, but they're a fun team. But I don't think this. But there are three teams that I think can beat the Warriors. There's four contenders in the West, and in my mind so far. Maybe the Mavs, maybe depending on off season, but really just those four teams. In the East, I think it's really just like three teams, and y'all can hate on me if you want. But the three teams that I think are the contenders are obviously the Boston Celtics. I think that they'll be better next year. I don't know if they will be the one seed. Um, and the one thing about the Celtics is that I think the experience in the playoffs and the finals is going to give them a little bit of a kick in the pants to be more consistent throughout the year. And I think it's a good lesson for the young players to, they've now got the experience in the finals. They know what it takes to get there. And I think they'll just be more assertive about stepping on teams' necks when they're in the lead or when they've got whatever. And I think that is going to be the key factor for that team. Now, the other thing, and you can see the odds are even here, the Bucks. The Bucks, I think, are gonna get to the finals. Like if I had to pick two teams, it would be the Celtics and Bucks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think the Bucks would win. I just think Giannis is too good. I think if you ask who's the best player in the world right now, there's like two answers. It's Giannis and Steph Curry. And I would say Giannis is probably like more at his peak right now. And Steph Curry's at like the LeBron like 2020 vibe where he's not as physically dominant. I mean, he's LeBron, so he's still physically dominant, but he's not 2012 LeBron, but he's so smart and he knows how to play and he knows, hey, like now I gotta drive, now I gotta shoot, now I gotta pass, like I gotta make plays for this guy, this guy, this guy, like that kind of LeBron. I think that was what Steph did. Like that was an amazing point guard performance in the finals, and I think even despite that, Giannis might be just so unstoppable as a player at the moment that it's just like gotta give it to him. So those are the two things that I'd say. And with the addition of Chris Middleton, do the Bucks lose to the Celtics in the playoffs? Who knows? I don't think they would have, but it's going to be close. And with the Celtics being better next year, it's tough. It's really tough. That one's the closest. And then the third team in the East, the Nets. As a Nets fan and as a native New Yorker, it's sad to say I don't really believe in this team. I want to believe in them, but unless they make some off-season additions, well, I take that back. I think with Ben Simmons, assuming he's healthy and assuming he plays, the Nets are legitimate. But that's only with Ben Simmons. If it's just KD and Kyrie, they don't have a shot with the rest of the team. They don't. And if it's just KD and Ben Simmons, they don't have a shot. If it's Kyrie and Ben Simmons, they don't have a shot. They need all three. And Kyrie opted into the player option. I don't know if he's going to stay here, if they're going to trade him. I assume he's going to stay for the 1 year and try to get another contract. I don't know if he'll stay with the Nets after this. I think he and KD kind of had a talk, and like KD was like, yo, gotta give me a year. KD was like, gotta help me out, brother. And Kyrie was like, peace and love. And they're running it back for at least one more shot. I think Jimmy Butler isn't going to be as good. Not because he's not a fantastic player, just because he's getting older. And I don't know if it was injury or the fact that he was tired. I'm more inclined to believe it was injury last year, but I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to be the best player in the playoffs 2 years in a row. I don't. Well, you could count Steph Curry as better in this year's playoffs, maybe like Giannis or Luka, but like statistically, like Jimmy Butler had the best postseason up until he was eliminated. He just did. He disappeared for like 2 games due to injury, but are you going to get that kind of performance out of Jimmy Butler again? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. And it's going to be harder because Kyle Lowry is, you know, he's got junk in the trunk, but he's got to, limit the junk on the rest of the body. And I don't know if the Heat are going to have enough. I mean, I love Duncan Robinson, but he was bad last year. And is he going to get back to that form? I don't know if I'm a betting man or not, but it's difficult to come up with an answer to that. And I just don't fully believe that they're a better team than any of these three teams, right? Like with odds ahead of them in the East. So I really just don't consider them a contender. And I feel the same way about the Philadelphia 76ers. I think the 76ers are a good team, but I don't like Harden. And not just because he ditched the Nets, but I've never liked Harden's game. I don't think it translates. And it's not to say that he isn't a fantastic player. He's one of the best passers in the league. I think the closest thing that we've seen to him recently is Trae Young. I think if I would compare Trae Young more so to James Harden than to Steph Curry because they're both incredible passers, and the way they play out of the pick and roll and draw fouls, like I feel like that's more akin to each other. And honestly, I just don't believe that James Harden has the burst. I don't believe he's gonna age well, and I don't believe that he's going to be better next year. I actually think he's gonna be worse next year, which is kind of tough to say, but come on, like and I might be hating. I might be hating. I don't think I am, but I might be. And Joel Embiid's fantastic. I just don't think that that team has enough. I think he would have had a better shot with Ben Simmons, even though they don't work well together, just because of whatever. But like, man, like I just don't believe in the 76ers team. Everybody was talking like, oh, Shaq and Kobe, like duo, yeah. Like, are they gonna win the title this year? And I was just like, no, they're not gonna win the title this year. Harden's not going to be that game changer for you. He's just not. He's not Houston Harden anymore. And arguably, Houston Harden might not have been that game changer for you before. I don't think that. I think he could have won those titles, but I don't think he can at this point as a second option. I just don't. I just don't think so. But especially on the 76ers, the rest of their team, I don't think gives you enough. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Those are the teams. I don't think anybody else really has any kind of legitimate shot. I would say that there's like 4 teams in the West and 3 teams in the East. I can't think of anything else. There would need to be some big trades that would go down, and if there are changes to this, I will make a follow up video and hash that out again. But these are my thoughts before most of free agency. I know I did miss Kyrie, Russ, and John Wall, but all the mid level guys, you know, Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks, who's a fantastic center, could do a lot of stuff for a lot of teams. Like if the Mavericks get him, that's a good team. Yeah, and I just don't consider anybody else to have a legitimate shot at winning the title, except for the Knicks. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.